So that might be why my eyes are red. And that's the only reason why. But it's so good to be home too. Like, my spirits were actually down coming into the city. I was like, oh, I want to be back on the continent. But being here tonight, like, wow, this is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And this is why I love Toronto. So thank you to everybody in this room and all your energy.
Toronto loves you.
Is my mom here? I think my mother is in here. Is she? Yeah, she is. So my mother's name is Ortega Gray. Check the initials, OG. You got that? All right. So yeah, my mother is a gangster. No, for real though. My mother is a gangster. My mother would rather throw herself overboard than watch the children she bore being sold into slavery. Imagine her bravery, navigating through unknown territory and foreign lands with nothing but the voice of God as her guide and a shotgun in her hand, aim point blank at anyone with thought to turning back. Mama said she could have saved thousands of more slaves if only they realized that they were that. My mother poisoned her own brother in an effort to preserve the Angolan Empire and single-handedly kept the Portuguese at bay. She went to war against the English to defend the golden stool when most of the men were too afraid to dirty up their kente. I'm telling you, my mother is so gangster that she snatched a Superman's cape right off of his back and transformed it into a head wrap because she... Toronto, eh? Only a Toronto can go on with them things here. No type of brata. So again, my mother is so gangster. My mother is so gangster that she'd rather throw herself overboard than watch the children she bore being sold into slavery. Imagine her bravery, navigating through unknown territory and foreign lands with nothing but the voice of God as her guide and a shotgun in her hand, aim point blank at anyone with thought to turning back. Mama said she could have saved thousands of more slaves if only they realized that they were that. My mother poisoned her own brother in an effort to preserve the Angolan Empire and single-handedly kept the Portuguese at bay. Went to war against the English to defend the golden stool when most of the men were too afraid to dirty up their kente. My mother is so gangster that she snatched Superman's cape right off of his back and transformed it into a head wrap because she knows that the most potent weapon the oppressor possesses in the mind of the oppressed, and therefore understands that her thoughts need to be protected. She then led a band of defiant Maroons from the lush hills of Jamaica, sent word to Cuba, Martinique, and Grenada. Now tell me that ain't straight G, no chaser. Deprived hollow souls once saw my mother on her pedestal and foolishly thought that it could be replaced with an auction block. Renamed my mama Hottentot, but they must have forgot that they once worshipped her as God before ever reducing her to just her body parts. They even deemed my mama a witch doctor because they couldn't understand her relationship with nature, how she can cure any disease with simply boiling the bark of a tree or steaming some leaves. She is a medicine woman. I can transform anyone with a simple touch. Those same hands that make fists demanding justice when pumped in the air be the same hands that knot, lock, twist, braiding hieroglyphs in our hair. My mother's hands heals nations. I watched her till the soils of Soweto and still the noise of the ghetto with just one wave of her finger. And don't you remember her? Because it leaves me somewhat confused that though all of us were born from her womb, we still yet only pray to the Father. But if the Father gives life and my mother gives birth, wouldn't that make her the closest thing to God on this earth? Mother. Where's my mama? Okay. Mother, it is an honor to be called your daughter. I place you so high that even angels have to throw their arms out of socket just for fingertips to brush the soles of your feet. I pray that I may one day trod this earth with even a portion of your dignity, beauty, and grace. And when others encounter me, I hope they may see your wisdom reflected on my face. And we, your daughters, are humbled to be the ones chosen to carry your torch.